proceed
We're
with
ready, Mr.
roll
Moore.
call. Chair Dillon,
Here.
Vice Chair Barry. Here. Commissioner Bubbas,
Here.
Commissioner Bynum,
Here.
Commissioner Cox,
Here.
Commissioner Finney, Commissioner Hamilton, Commissioner Leahy, Commissioner Latour,
Here.
and Commissioner May. You have a quorum with one open position.
Thank you. Can we get our minutes, please, approved?
Yes, Madam Chair. I move for approval of the minutes of the August 25th, 2016 meeting of the Little Rock Planning Commission.
All in favor? All opposed? The minutes will pass. Okay. We are ready to begin, Mr. Moore.
Okay. Following is the consent agenda. Little Rock Planning Commission Planning Rezoning Conditional Use Hearing of October 6th, 2016. You have two items on consent withdrawal. Item A, file number Z9156, Hayes Parolee Probationary Housing Facility Special Use Permit, 2101 Simpson Street. On September 22nd, the applicant requested this application be withdrawn. Staff supports that request. Item B, Z9157, Johnson Group Home or Group Care Facility, Special Use Permit, 1102 South Pulaski Street. On October 5th, the applicant requested withdrawal of this application. Staff supports that request. You do need a bylaw waiver to accept the withdrawal request being less than 5 business days prior to today's public hearing. There's one item on consent deferral. Item number 2, Z9166, Naomi's House, Group Care Facility, Special Use Permit, 217 Auburn Drive. The applicant failed to post the notice of public hearing sign on the property as required. Therefore, the application needs to be deferred to the November 17th, 2016 agenda. Next are the items on consent approval. Item number 5, A328, Pulaski County Special School District Annexation, Joe T. Robinson Schools, 21,001 to 21,501 Highway 10, Baker Elementary, 15,001 Canis Road. Staff recommends approval of the annexation as requested. And item number 6, LA 0072, land alteration variance 5808 Baseline Road. Since the subject property is zoned R2 and less than 5 acres and would be exempt if it were not located on Baseline Road, staff recommends approval of the after-the-fact land alteration variance request subject to compliance with the staff comments found in paragraph D of the staff report. That concludes the consent agenda.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Madam Chair, first I'd like to move for a bylaw waiver for item B, Z9157, South Pulaski, to accept the withdrawal request less than 5 business days prior to the public hearing.
I'll second.
All in favor? And all opposed? The bylaw waiver will pass.
Madam Chair, I'd like to move for approval of the consent agenda as read by staff with all staff recommendations therein.
All in favor? And all opposed? The consent agenda will pass. If your item was called, you are free to go. Mr. Moore, will you call out the items that we will hear, please?
Item number 1, the HRA Group Care Facility, 9219 Sibley Hole Road. Number 3, rezoning from R2 to R4, 2007 and 9 Wilson Road. And item 4, the Pinnacle View Middle School Conditional Use Permit on Quintillis Road.
Thank you. We will begin with item number 1.
Item number 1, file number Z5652A, the HRA Group Care Facility Special Use Permit, 9219 Sibley Hole Road. This is a request to allow a group care facility to be operated within an existing structure located on O3 zone property at 9219 Sibley Hole Road. We had this item on consent approval, but there's an issue that you need to discuss with relation to notification of surrounding property owners prior to you voting on the application. As you know, your bylaws require that a notification is made to all property owners within 200 feet of a subject property. The list of the property owners has to be provided by an abstract company, and that notice form has to go out with the date and time of the meeting at least 15 days prior to the public hearing date. In this case, the applicant did all of that with the exception of the notice went out 5 days late. It went out 10 days before the meeting instead of 15 days before the meeting. So when we realized that, we suggested to the applicant that they go to all of the owners on the abstract list, which there are 9 owners, obtain a signature from them that they stated that they were notified of the public hearing. And the applicant proceeded to do that. They got signatures from 8 of the 9. The ninth one, they do have a signature on a certified return card where they did receive the notice and sign for it on the 28th, which was Wednesday of last week. So the first order of business for you is to discuss whether or not you wish to waive your bylaws and accept the notification as done by the applicant. And staff would have no objection to the bylaw waiver.
Okay, we do have one card though, right? Okay. We do have one card in opposition. Or actually, it doesn't actually state. Kathleen Olson.
Kathleen Olson, Legal Women Voters, Pulaski County. I'm being Ruth Bell today. She's in Illinois, and she'll probably be very angry with me for saying this, but she's there to go for the celebration of her 70th high school reunion. The reason that I wanted to speak about this is the league finds it very important that notification is done properly, and we don't want the commission to take lightly its rules and regulations on it. We do also appreciate that the applicants in this particular case have gone the extra mile, have done things beyond what is normally the case, but we certainly didn't want a vote in favor of doing it without reinforcing the idea of how important notification is. Thank you.
Thank you.
Man-
Okay, yes.
Madam
go
Chair, I
ahead.
move for approval of the waiver of the bylaws as requested by applicants in light of their reaching out to the other property owners, and I move for acceptance of a bylaw waiver in this case.
All in favor? All opposed? Bylaw favor passes.
Okay, with that being said, do you have any cards of opposition on this?
You do not.
Unless you wish otherwise, I will just give the staff recommendation, and then you can take a vote on the
Okay.
application unless you have discussion. Staff recommends approval of the requested special use permit to allow a group care facility at 9219 Sibley Hole Road, subject to compliance with the provisions of Section 3654E4 of the city zoning ordinance. Also, note of public record, we have been informed that Southwest Little Rock United for Progress did hear from the applicant, and they voted unanimously to support the application.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Madam Chair, I move for approval of item number 1 as filed with staff recommendations.
All in favor? And all opposed? Item number 1 will pass. We will go to item number 3. Thank y'all for coming.
Item number 3, file number Z9167. It's a property located at 2007-2009 Wilson Road. Is owned by Henry Rogers and Kenny Whitfield with Perry's Pennies LLC as the applicant. Henry Rogers, owner of the .32 acre property located at 2007-2009 Wilson Road, is requesting to rezone the property from R2 Single Family District to R4 Two Family District. The property is located on the east side of Wilson Road, south of West 20th Street. The rezoning is proposed to allow construction of 2 duplex structures on the site. The property is comprised of 2 platted lots. The lots are currently undeveloped and partly wooded. The property has a slight slope upward from west to east and south to north, basically following the elevation of Perry Street. Or excuse me, this would be Wilson Road. The single-family residences are located north and east of the subject property, with 2 duplex structures zoned R4 immediately to the northeast. Vacant lots, single-family residences, and duplex structures are located to the south. Undeveloped lots and single-family residences are located across Wilson Road to the west. The city's future land use plan designates the property as residential low density. The requested R4 rezoning does not require an amendment to the plan. Staff is supportive of the requested R4 rezoning. Staff views the request as reasonable. The property is comprised of 2 platted single-family lots. 2 duplex structures will only be a minor increase in the original platted density. New duplex structures have been recently developed within this neighborhood. Staff recently conducted a survey of the neighborhood between West 16th Street to 24th Street, also between Aldersgate Road to Junior Deputy Road. The survey counted the number of residential lots in this area and how many of the lots are zoned R4. Staff found that there are a total of 368 lots within this area, and 25 are zoned R4. Your write-up says that 2 are pending before the Board of Directors, and those were approved this past Monday. So there are 25 lots zoned R4. This represents R4 zoning on a total of 7.33% of the overall lots within this neighborhood. The 2 lots proposed for R4 would raise that ratio to 7.88%. Staff feels this is a very minimal percentage of the overall residential area, and staff believes the applicant's plan to construct 2 new duplexes will be a quality infill type development for this general area south of West 18th Street. And staff feels that this R4 zoning will have no adverse impact on the adjacent properties or the general area. Therefore, staff recommends approval of the requested R4 rezoning.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. We have one car, or well, let's get the applicant up, please.
Chair Dillon, board
Yes.
members, good evening. We're trying to get 2007, 2009 Wilson Road from R2 to R4.
Will you state your name, please?
Kenny Whitfield, I'm sorry.
Okay, sorry, thank you.
Okay.
Oh, no. Okay, well, that's good if that's what you want to say.
Go ahead and let her.
Okay, that's fine. Susan Staffeld?
Hello again, members of the commission. I saw you about, I think, 5 weeks ago when we talked about those last 2 lots in the neighborhood. This is a little different situation. As you know, like I said at that time, we knew that those were not the last 2 in the area. Last time, you know, you considered 2 lots that had abandoned properties on them. And even though you heard from the property owner across the street that would have rather seen these abandoned properties than the duplexes, I understand, you know, that's improvements to these lots. The 2 lots, though, today are wooded. And that's one of the defining characteristics of this area is all of these old trees, and especially these solidly wooded lots. You don't see that in many places in Little Rock, and we don't have a lot of different attractions in the neighborhood. So that's one of the things that we really hold dear, are all the trees here. I don't want to repeat everything I said last time, but we've been watching some of these duplexes be constructed directly across the street from my fiance's house. They're being very hastily constructed. They're shotgun-style floor plans. I'm guessing less than 1,000 square feet, and they're asking $1,200 a month. You're not going to get, this is not affordable housing. It's not that higher density, affordable housing. You're not going to get doctors from Baptist running duplexes for $1,200 a month. So instead, we're getting these temporary residents. They're not feeling invested in our neighborhood. They're coming in, they're staying for a few months, they're moving out, or they're being evicted. We've watched people leave. You heard last time that there's not been evictions. We've watched this stuff happening. We're there 24 hours a day. I work during the day, but my fiance is self-employed, so he's around. We've seen police presence. Just since I saw you last time, I counted, we've had the police out that we've noticed 3 times at these duplexes for different disturbances. We've seen, we've had to turn around. We can't get down our own streets because of cars parked in front of the duplexes. I've had to turn around and drive completely around. Our area can't handle this higher density development. So instead of just focusing on that, I instead looked into more of what your own policies and regulations are. So as you know, this area is low density residential. And I know that you can zone R2 to R4 without changing that, but it says in that plan that it's supposed to be less than 6 units per acre. And directly across the street from us, we have 5 duplexes in a row. The 4 that they're building right now is 8 units on 3/4 of an acre. And if you add in that 5th, that's 10 units on 1.1 acres. That's clearly well over what should be in a low-density residential area. Secondly, as you know, this will be the 28th and the 29th R4 lots in our neighborhood. As you heard, that's less than 8% of the lots. But as you know, as I said, a lot of those lots are wooded, and I don't count those against, as a residential lot. So instead, if you look at your zoning map there, the southern half of this neighborhood is getting hit a lot harder. So I counted up the number of single-family residences, and I counted about 80, just over 80. And in that same area, there's 20 residences, which is 20 duplexes, which is 40 units. So that means in the southern half of our neighborhood, a third of our housing stock now is duplexes. And in addition, all of those duplexes are in half of that half. And so in a quarter of our neighborhood, you actually have duplexes outnumbering the single-family residences. We don't feel like we're in that low-density area, and we especially don't want to see any more of our wooded lots being turned into these duplexes. And finally, I hope you know, you just talked about public notice. And most of the neighborhoods, it's actually been enjoyable to walk around and let people know about these hearings because I've gotten to know a lot more people. So I thank you for that. But almost everyone I've talked to is not getting these notices. I only talked to one person that got their notice before the meeting. Everyone else is getting them after the meeting's already happened. In addition, last time only 2 of us spoke. I got a letter from the Planning Commission letting me know about the board meeting, but the other people didn't. I wasn't able to make the board meeting, but they said they would have attended if they'd been notified. So I just wanted to let you know that we're not able, our neighborhood is opposed to these, but we're not able to get people involved. We just found out about this meeting less than 24 hours ago. So if anything, if you don't feel comfortable denying these duplexes, at least give us more time to get the word out and let people know. I was able to get an email from one of the property owners, and I told her I'd read it to you. Says, to whom it may concern, I, Jan Sampson, am a homeowner on Wilson Road in Little Rock. I purchased my home 5 years ago. One of the main attractions to my neighborhood was the country city feel and all the beautiful trees. With all the recent building of all the duplexes, I feel this is just too much. Just yesterday, I learned there are even more planned to be built. Enough is enough. This is unfair to us as homeowners. When will this end? It appears every single space is being turned into these apartments and duplexes. This neighborhood was supposed to be for primarily single-family homes. Please stop approving more duplexes in my neighborhood. Building more homes to own would be welcomed. Sincerely, Jan Sampson. In summary, I ask that you deny this rezoning. We have enough duplexes. We're not asking that you tear down what's there, but just say, all right, this area has enough higher density homes. And if you don't feel like you can make that decision today, then please give us more time to involve our neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you.
First of all of our units they're not 1,000 feet, they're 1,550. They're stained concrete floors, upper end, granite countertops, 9-foot ceiling heights, all contemporary, very nice. I'd live in them myself. As a matter of fact, my home is designed after one of them. The police that you see out there, I call every Saturday morning to have all of our properties patrolled. So that's probably me doing that. And second of all, I've got a thumb drive with all of our pictures of the properties that we built on, that we are currently fixing to build on. If you guys would like to see it. This is one of our townhomes that are over there. These are the cars that are in the street. It's in our lease that you cannot park in the street. You see the townhome right behind that? That's a make-do body shop. This is one of these. The last one was one of the homes that was tore down that we put a townhouse in too. This is the home that's right across the street from the duplexes that we have that's going up that she's complaining about. That's the one they live in. That's their property. This is the stuff that we went over there and we cleaned up and we worked hard. I'm there from 6 o'clock in the morning, from 6 to 7 o'clock at night. I'm there every day. That is my job. We mow, we clean up. Our landscaping is far above anything that's in that neighborhood or anything around it. We take great pride in it, and I would love for any of you guys to come over and just take a look at what we're doing. Love to. This is the stuff that we've tore down or we're fixing to tear down. That's right across the street from us that we have to see every day. We have tenants that will be living there, and this is where she lives. So I think everything that we're doing over there, we've got the city, we work with the city, we work with every entity of the city to get the streets cleaned up, all the drainage done that's flooded, that's been flooding a lady next door to us for over 8 years. And I got that fixed. And so I think we're a big part of cleaning the neighborhood up, which it was long past due, I'm sorry. And I guess that's all I got to say. Thank you.
Commissioners, oh, I'm sorry, yes, Monty.
One issue that was brought up was that of notification. The applicant did complete notification to the surrounding property owners as required.
Okay.
One of the problems might be that some of the single-family homes may not be owner-occupied. That may be why some of them are not getting notice. There is a sign posted on the property 30 days before the meeting, and we also do a legal ad in the paper.
Okay, thank you.
Can I say one more thing? Probably 90% of the property in that neighborhood, when we send out our registered letters, it's going either out of state or to a leasing company.
And that's probably what they're
It's
not getting.
it's all, the biggest majority of it is all leased properties. Probably, I'm gonna say 85 to the least, 90%.
Okay, can you explain what you have the police out on every Saturday for again?
There was an issue on the other side of Junior Deputy and 20th, where there were some people that come from the Twin Lakes subdivision that was on foot shooting at each other. And it kind of scared me, so when I was talking to the police officer there, she said, you can call every Saturday and we'll patrol your properties.
Oh,
So I
okay.
call every Saturday to have all of our stuff patrolled.
Okay.
They patrol throughout the week, but I have to do it once a week.
Okay,
And another thing, all of our tenants, they're from UPS. I have 4 nurses. I've got people from Farm Bureau. I've got all grades of tenants that work every day. They get up and go to work every day. He and she, both of them do. They're not sitting at home and drawing a check. These are not Section 8 houses.
okay.
Thank you.
Let's see if we have other questions from the commissioners.
Yeah, actually, Monty, you addressed one of them in terms of the notice. There was also some suggestion, I guess, in terms of frequency of turnover. Do you want to address that at all, or?
We had 4 leases come up in this last week, and they moved. I mean, 2 of them went out of state, and 1 went to another part of town in Maumelle. It's just too much of a traffic issue going back and forth.
Okay. Mr. Bubbas?
I love his passion. I'm going to vote for him.
Thank you.
I think we need more business owners that take that much pride in their work when they get upset. He takes personal ownership in this.
Absolutely.
And this is his name, and he's going to make sure it's done right. So I'm going to support him.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bubbas. Yes, Mr. Leahy?
Thank you. I'd like to ask a young lady, I believe her name was Susan. I'm really interested in this notification deal. That we have that complaint a lot, and that see what we can work out to overcome that. Would you come back up, please? How far are you from this property?
We're not within 200 feet of this property. I'm just talking about,
Okay.
Last time it was the property owners up on Perry Street that told me that they couldn't get it, and also some further down on Wilson when those had come up that they didn't get theirs. And I'm not saying it's Mr. Whitfield's fault at all. I'm just saying that there's some kind of flaw,
I think you
something.
answered my question, ma'am. My next one is there a neighborhood association out there?
We don't have one. We have
Okay.
interest in one. but
Thank
we don't
you.
have one.
Are there any other questions? Okay, let's make a motion, please.
Madam Chair? Yes.
Yes. Number
Madam
three.
Chair, I move for approval of item number 3 as written and staff recommendations therein.
All in favor? And all opposed? Item number 3 will pass. Thank you for coming. All right, one more here. Mr. Carney, are you going to do item number 4?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. We are ready.
Item number 4, file number Z 9165, conditional use permit proposed to be located at 6100 North Catillus Road. Little Rock School District is requesting approval of a conditional use permit to allow for construction of a sports field adjacent to the new Pinnacle View Middle School. The sports field is proposed to be located east of the school at the northern terminus of North Catillus Road. The sports field will occupy the southeastern quarter or so of the 40-acre tract located east of the school. The sports field will be enclosed by a 6-foot-tall black vinyl-coated chain-link fence. No new parking is proposed. The existing parking located at the school campus will be utilized. Access to the sports field will be via a gate that leads into a courtyard area with concession stand and restrooms. Bleachers will be located on either side of the field. Initial bleacher seating for 100 persons per side will be provided with future expansion to 200 seats per side. The sports field will not have lights, precluding any after-daylight usage. The applicant did submit responses to issues raised at subdivision committee. The concession building will have a maximum height of 16.5 feet. The press box will have a height up to 20 feet. Signage will be located on a potential future scoreboard facing into the field. Directional signage will be placed to direct visitors. The field will potentially be used 7 days a week during daylight hours, as the field will not be lighted. There will be no dumpster on the sports field site. The existing campus trash pickup will be utilized. The district will pursue abandonment of Catillus right-of-way through the site as recommended by staff. Staff is recommending approval of the conditional use permit subject to compliance with the following conditions. First being compliance with the comments and conditions as noted in sections 4, 5, and 6 of the agenda staff report. The Catillus right-of-way through the site is to be abandoned, and a screen consisting of 20 6-foot-tall evergreen trees planted 15 feet on center is to be planted northwest of the sports field to provide screening for the residences located at the southern end of Paddock Court, as agreed to by the applicant and the owners of those properties. Additionally, there are 3 other conditions. These are conditions that were proposed by the owners of ranch properties and the Pfeiffer Primary Residence Trust, each of which own property adjacent to the school property. These conditions, proposed conditions were agreed to by the applicant. A 100-foot undisturbed open space buffer is to be maintained around the entirety of the 40-acre tract, with the exception that no buffer is needed on the south 2/3 of the west property line. That would be adjacent to the parking lot and the actual school campus, and west half of the south property line. There must be no grading or tree removal in the buffer area. The site grading and drainage plans that are to be approved by the City of Little Rock prior to any development of the subject property pursuant to the conditional use permit should provide for proper drainage and cleanup so that surrounding properties and waterways are not polluted with the resulting discharge and sludge. The district must provide specific details regarding its plan to break the existing dam and provide assurance to the city and the surrounding property owners that all water, sludge, and trash will be properly routed and cleaned up, and that there will be no adverse effect on the future development potential of the surrounding properties. And the final condition is related to noise, sound, and lighting. Any loudspeakers or public address systems should be directed away from the surrounding properties and shall be operated in a manner to minimize as much as possible noise pollution to adjacent properties. Lighting of the fields will not be allowed with this application.
Thank you, Mr. Carney. May we have the applicant, please?
I'm loading up my PowerPoint. You want the 20-minute PowerPoint? I always offer that to you. You
No.
never take me up on it. I mean, it's spectacular. I'll be real quick, and then we can listen to our neighbors. But first of all, this is Kevin Yarberry. He's the operations manager, construction manager with the school district. We've got 40-acre site. We're orienting the ball field in the southwest part of that site, close to the parking, so that we don't have to build additional parking. We can use what we have. It really sets up well because if you look at an aerial view, where we're putting the ball field is already cleared. And so we're keeping almost all of the trees that are on this 40 acres. Now, sometime we may come back and want to do more, but with this application, we're just asking for the ball field. So that's an arrow. You can see where the ball field is going is inside that green area. The green area is the limits of our work, our grading work. And so we have really just isolated it to the western portion of the site. During the process, we had several neighbors come forward. One who I really think was most affected is Mark Carruthers. He's in the southern house on Paddock Court, I think. But Mark is about a ball field away from the ball field, and so his trees are a little scarce, and so Kevin Yarberry agreed to go in and plant an evergreen screen for him, and we've added that to the application. We got a letter from Randy Frazier, who is here today, and he's an attorney that represents Gene Pfeiffer and Ranch Properties. Mr. Pfeiffer is also here. They asked for 3 concessions, and those were that we leave a 100-foot perimeter undisturbed buffer around the property. Well, we had already made that a part of our application with the Corps of Engineers, so it was already built in, so we didn't have a problem with that. What were the others? That we get our permits with the city and the Corps, which we will. And then I think the other was just that we would be careful with our lighting, speakers, and whatnot to make sure that we, I guess I know we're close to homes, that we're taking care of the neighbors, if you will. So, I think that's really 4 concessions that we've given. The biggest concession, I think this room would probably be full of people if we were going to light this field. And the school district decided early on, you know what, let's build the field, let's get the kids out there, let's use it, let's see if it's a problem. If we ever want to light it, we'll come back. But with this application, we're not lighting the field, and so I think it's a very reasonable, and we're just trying to give the kids a place to play. So, be glad to answer any questions.
Thank you, Mr. White. We have one card. Kelly Benz. You don't want to speak? Okay. So, commissioners, do we have any questions? We have no cards now. All right, let's get our motion.
Madam Chair, I move for approval of item 4 as read and with the staff recommendations therein and the conditions that were read by staff. And to the record.
Second. Okay, and all in favor? And all opposed? Item 4 will pass. Thank you all for coming tonight. We now have time for citizen communication, if anyone would like to speak on any issue. Thank you again for coming. We are adjourned.
And again, we'll